My name is Ari Krupnik. I am Director of Engineering at Therapy.com, a software as a service company where we make cloud APIs for distributed energy resources. This video is about how to choose your technology stack. A technology stack is the giants on whose shoulders you stand. You want to choose your giants wisely. Here's one example of a stack. This one was popular in the early days of the internet. LAMP, Linux, Apache, and Mod Perl. Software stack is something that comes up mostly when people talk about web services or software as a service, but the concept applies in any kind of software development. Here's a stack you might choose if you're building an embedded product, C on ARM. Back on the web, Ruby on Rails is a stack that was popular in more recent years. If you are on an IBM mainframe, you might be using PL1 on DB2. As I'm going through these examples, I want you to try and imagine what it might be like working in each of the environments. Imagine what the office looks like, what the staff meeting looks like for each one. They are different experiences. Now, some stacks like LAMP assume that you can select each piece individually. P in LAMP stands for Perl or Python or PHP. You might run Apache, the A in LAMP, on Linux or BSD or even Windows. As against that, some stacks come as more of a set lunch. If you mention the Azure stack, you don't need to say which operating system you're using, and you don't need to say which web server. So how do you choose a technology stack? The spoiler is, it's all about the people. By selecting technology, you select the types of relationship that you can have. Relationships with your colleagues and with your vendors. Let me start with the vendors. Vendor lock-in is the simplest metric of your relationship with a vendor. How expensive is it for you to take your business elsewhere if you need to? Let me give an example of extreme portability. Let's say you have a completely static website. It's just pure HTML and CSS and some JavaScript. If you decide you don't like your web hosting provider, you can zip up your files, unzip them on a different server, and you're back in business. All you need to do is throw the DNS switch, and none of your users will ever know you moved. As against that, imagine you are a software as a service company and you host your application on a big cloud provider. The cloud provider has security and user management and containers and non-SQL databases. Now imagine the cloud provider makes a change you dislike. Maybe they raise prices. Maybe they discontinue a feature that you depend on. Can you move? Probably. Can you justify the cost of moving? Maybe not. So you have a kind of adversarial relationship with your vendor. They try to sell you on their special features, and you're looking over your shoulder trying to calculate how much decision-making ability you're giving up. Out of the three big cloud providers, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, Microsoft is the worst for vendor lock-in. They advertise that you can run any operating system on Azure, and I'm sure it's true in some theoretical sense, but I've only ever seen people running Windows in production on Azure. And the same is true of the entire stack. You're really missing out. You could run whatever you want on Azure, but you're really missing out on the special Microsoft features if you're not using them. There are so many things that are easy if you go with the Microsoft flow. And for a lot of companies, this can be the right choice, especially if the product that you're selling is not a technological innovation at its core. If you're building a dating app or an accounting package, you can get to a working prototype a lot quicker. Now, we are a technology company. We geek out on RFCs and HTTP response codes, and we connect different services and transform their data. Our responses must be correct and standards compliant. The technology is the core product for what we do. We cannot delegate our core product to a vendor. Now, smaller vendors generally have a lot less vendor lock-in. They simply don't have the cloud to pull you into their ecosystems. Their ecosystems are a lot smaller. We could run on a no-name service, but we want the stability and the scalability of one of the bigger ones. So for us, the trade-off falls on AWS. Out of the big three, AWS is the one that's the easiest for us to migrate from, if we need to. Now, the other type of relationship you choose is the relationship with your engineers. You've all seen the memes, and they are true. And maybe you agree or disagree with the specific characterizations of the programmers who use different languages, but you'll agree that they're different people. Same is true for operating systems. When I interview engineers, I like to lead with an open-ended question like, tell me what you like about your favorite programming language. Now, as examples, let me imagine three candidates. So one says, I like Java because that's what I was taught in school. That's one type of candidate. Another one says, I like JavaScript because it has first-class closures and first-class functions. And the third candidate says, I like C for embedded work and Python for web programming and Bash for shell scripting. I want you to think about these three candidates and think the kind of environment they bring with them, the kind of experience they bring to your environment. Now, at Derapi, we build things that haven't been done before. When we hire engineers, we care less about what they've done. We care more about what they can learn how to do. So how do you find engineers who love to learn? You find engineers who have learned many different languages. And how do you attract engineers who have learned many different languages? You do your project in Python. I have never met a Python engineer who knew one language. People come to Python from all kinds of different places. They come to Python after they have worked with other things. One of my colleagues at Derapi came to us with a degree in geology. He has used Python in solving some pretty impressive real-world problems. Now, that's a breadth of experience. Back to Python, it occupies a happy valley of people who want to build real things and people who want to learn new things. Now, this is the right combination for what we do. For a product that is heavy on GUIs or needs to run on bare metal or needs to be part of a proprietary ecosystem, that calculus may work out differently for you. But the main question I want to encourage you to ask when selecting your technology stack is, what kind of people do I want to work with? What kind of colleagues do I want to attract? Thank you for joining me today for this video. Again, my name is Ari Krupnik. I'm Director of Engineering at Derapi.com. We always love to talk to good engineers. There's always room on our crew for engineers who want to learn and build things.